Welcome back. We've been reminiscing on the 25-year anniversary of Michigan State's national championship. Later in this evening, Ann Emmerich will spend some time with Mike Garland about his Champions of the Heart, which is so close to his heart. We're going to save that for Ann and Mike, but we want to talk about the memory of the national championship 25 years ago, because not only were you on Tom Izzo's staff, you were really among his best friends, right, Mike?
Absolutely, and it's kind of funny. Tom is very, very visionary, and I've told this story several times that everything that you see in the Michigan State basketball program, everything that it's all about, he had that vision for the program. Didn't know it was going to be Michigan State, but for a college program that he was going to coach. Back when we were 18 years old, he would talk about it with me all the time.
We were there, but I remember mostly from 1999. 1999, it was so new for all of us, okay? Mm-hmm. But in 2000, we got there, came close to Duke. Now we got to the last game, and I just thought there was a culture and an air, this is a game we are going to win. Is that fair to say?
You're on the money. You're on the money. I mean, on that night, we could have beaten the Lakers because it was our turn and we all knew it, and it was our destiny, and nothing was going to change that.
Did you still feel that way when Mateen bumped into Teddy DePay and limped off the floor?
That challenged me a little bit, but I did know this. And I say this all the time. If you look at that game and you look at the different segments of that game, our season was played out in that game. Mateen going down early in the year. David Thomas and Charlie Bell taking over the point guard position. All of those different things that we suffered through all came about in that game. And I truly believe that that season prepared us for that night. We were ready. If, hell or high water, we were going to figure it out.
25 years later, does Tom coach differently than he did in that run to the national title of any significance at all?
Not really. Not really. People may think he does, but not really. Today's athletes are a little different mentality, but the things that win, no, he'd be a fool to change that. He's been as successful as anybody that ever coached in the Big Ten. So, he has no reason to change anything, nor does he need to in the future.
That was his 5th year as head coach at Michigan State. We all thought, well, this is going to happen every few years. He has been to 8 Final Fours,
right.
But that second national championship has been elusive to him. Did you think there were several more coming at that time, or do you have no idea?
Are you speaking to from when we won the very first one?
From after you won?
After we won the very first one.
Right.
I thought we had a chance to return the following year because we returned a heap of those guys. We had Hudson back, we had Charlie back, we had Dave Thomas back. We had all those guys back. And we had added Jason Richardson and Zach Randolph, Marcus Taylor.
Well, you nearly did.
Yeah, we nearly did. And I thought somewhere along the way in the next 5 years that we would get another one, and if not, 2 more. I really believe that in my heart. But I think it demonstrates how hard it is to win it all.
Well, even that year in 2000, the regional was tough to get through the regional just to get to the Final Four. I remember that well because there were some dicey moments there, right?
No question. Well, we got down 20 to Syracuse in the Sweet 16 game, and then going into those latter minutes, looked like Iowa State was going to get us.
Yeah, that's the one I remember.
Yeah, that was a game. And I really look at it, I'm not trying to downplay Billy Donovan and that fine Florida team that he had, but in my mind, that Iowa State game was actually the national championship game.
Those were two of the great games I can remember in my whole career. The Iowa State and Syracuse game at the Palace, and Tom will tell us in this show that that was the one time the whole state was painted green. He loved it.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. The support, everybody was there. I mean, it was crazy, and the fact that we worked our way through that, you know, being expected to be in the at least in the Final Four, and having the opportunity to win it, you know.
You know, Mike, this team, of course, gets so much credit for having so many players across the board who contribute. But 25 years ago, in memory, everybody talks about Mateen, but he had a lot of help.
Oh,
that was not a one-man team.
No. If everybody thinks that, then they're out of their tree. I mean, hey, you know, let's go back. Let's go back to the Iowa State game, which you guys both, you know, mentioned. Big pivotal game, pivotal play in that game came down. Tom calls a timeout late in the game. We're down 1, I believe. We go to the bench. He calls a timeout, draws up a play, and the guys were disappointed in what he drew up. He looked up and asked him what was wrong. Mateen Cleaves takes his hand and wipes it over the grease board and says, "Coach, get the ball to Andre." Because when we got behind, if you recall, Andre was the one that actually brought us back. And then, you know, he was matched up against Marcus Pfizer, who was actually a first-round draft pick. And he had initially drew the play up from Mopi to get the shot. But, you know, all of the guys, everybody looked at each other.
I
said,
heard
"Yeah,
that.
let's get it to Andre." So he draws it up again, and when he draws it up again, they still had a look on their face. He says, "So, you know, using some superlatives, he says, well, what's wrong now?" And Mateen says, "No, put me right here where you put Pete. I'm going to make that pass because I'm going to make sure that Andre gets that ball when he wants it, how he wants it."
So Mateen should be the coach of the year.
Well, he was.
Mateen, you know.
What a fascinating story.
Well, I mean, you say that, but the best coach, the best teams, whether it's high school, college, or pros, are player coach teams.
He says that all the time.
Yeah, that's the truth.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people think that only the coach is the one that makes. No, those guys are on the floor. They're looking at it from a whole different vantage point than you are. They have a feel for it. So you're not a very good coach if you don't listen to your players.
So we've heard and read about the legacy of Tom Izzo. Tell us or share with us what the ingredient is that you know of him as a best friend that maybe we all don't know. What is it that makes him tick, not only 25 years ago, but still today?
A special place in his heart for the success of other people.
Yeah.
He's always wanted to share his success with others, and those that don't know how to be successful, teach them how to do it. He is a relationship guy. Sometimes it doesn't appear that way when you're watching him on the sideline, but he is a relationship guy, and that's why his guys will run through a brick wall for him.
When you look back, Mike, 25 years ago, what do you think was your greatest contribution to that team?
I'm just that big in the whole scheme.
Yeah, but
of
he
things.
wouldn't say that.
Tom won't say that.
Tom won't say that.
I know, but you know, I just.
I saw you all the time in the locker room talking to players a lot.
Yeah, that's true. You know, I try to get around that, but you know, I've always been a voice of reason, and I've for some reason, for a large portion of my life, people have always been willing to share with me things that are personal to them. And I've always tried to speak the truth to them and try to do it in a way that wasn't offensive to them. And I think one of my strengths is being able to do so. Right.
Does it seem like 25 years ago, or does it seem like last week?
No,
You
it
haven't
seems
changed.
Like, it seems like last week. Come on, guys.
And I haven't changed.
Oh man.
No, after that. You haven't changed.
Tim, you won't remember this, but remember when we went to the first Final Four?
It was fantastic. It was my favorite trip of
Oh,
all time.
St. Petersburg.
Thank you.
That's my favorite.
This is what
the
this is what
Rose
I'm
Bowls
getting at.
were great. That trip to Clearwater
Yes,
was fabulous.
And the reason I brought that up, I never will forget. Remember, we had lost, and then we were gonna leave
the next day.
the next day, and mysteriously, the plane had a flat.
The plane had a flat tire.
And I never will forget, everybody was cheering
Yeah.
when we was pulling the stuff, all our bags off of the truck that was going to take them to the
And
airport.
at the pool, I'm sitting at a
Yep.
table with Mateen's mother and
Yep.
him.
Yep.
And you know, in that setting, at the beach and all
Right,
that,
right.
even though State had lost, they had gotten past it a bit. We get
Right.
one more day in Florida.
Oh yeah, everyone had. Did we have a great time?
Yeah.
And I remember you and I couldn't remember if it was at the pool or if it was at the beach, and you and I were having a conversation. You know, just we weren't even really talking about the game anymore.
No.
We were just having a great time,
And,
boy,
and the
what an
other classic,
experience.
Tom Crean, was on the phone, and I went to get something out of the lobby, and he said, "Okay, good to talk to you," and hung up. And I said, "I don't know." I just said something. He turned around. He says, "Can I ask your opinion? Should I take the Marquette job or stay at Michigan State?" Because they had just offered him the
Wow.
Marquette job.
Wow, how about that?
And he hadn't made up his mind yet.
Right.
And then he goes over and gets Dwayne Wade, and the rest is history.
Exactly.
I
How
mean,
about that?
and that's 26 years ago.
So you was right there as he was finishing
Well,
up
he
the
was
call.
finishing the call. He hangs up, and I don't know what I said to him. He turns around. "Can I ask you a question? Should I take the Marquette job or stay here?" Because he
Oh,
said, "I just
wow.
talked to him." Yeah,
Wow.
right there in the lobby.
Wow.
You know,
Wow.
right there.
Classic memories, huh?
Oh, unbelievable. It's so many. You kidding. I mean, it would be a book of 500 pages if you know, just could.
And being
to
in
cover
that
every one
arena
of them.
for the, you know, it's one thing to be in the basketball arenas,
Right.
but when you set foot the semifinal in Tropicana Field with
Yes.
50,000 people in there
Yes.
for basketball,
Yes.
and all those people,
Oh.
and all the media, and all the TV,
Right.
and you're playing Duke.
Exactly.
And you know, for a while it looked like this is going to be a blowout, and then State almost won the game.
That's right.
And then next year in Indy, I thought, you know what, this has got to be State's year.
Yep.
And it was.
Yeah, it was.
It
yeah,
was.
it was. You know, and I never will forget. You know, after the game, we go and we're in the locker room, and everybody's disappointed. You know, we kind of all were, you know, a little upset about it, and there was a few words about this and that, and then finally everybody calmed down, and we did what we typically do. Once we get off the bus, we go straight to the meeting room where we watch film and everything. And he says, "Is there anyone in here that feels we couldn't have won that game?" And everybody's just kind of silent. And he says, "Next year, if we put in the work and do what we need to do, we're going to win the whole thing." And at that point, that day, in that meeting room, that's when our minds were made up. And when we got back to campus, the work started then until that following year when we won that whole thing.
There you go.